Hello, and we're coming back today with a visitor from ICCAP. I'm here to represent ICCAP, Aimee Kemp. Are you there, Aimee?
I'm here.
How are you today?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing well. For anyone that doesn't know, what is ICCAP? What does it stand for? And what is your role in the county and in the community?
So ICAP stands for the Indiana County Community Action Agency. We have lots of programs that are aimed to help low-income individuals, whether it's rent or different housing needs. We have a homeless shelter. Obviously, we have the food bank, which is where I work. I'm the director of the food bank. We also have a rep payee program where if people can't manage their money or have difficulty paying their bills, we can manage their money for them. So ICAP has several different programs to help meet the needs of whatever, anybody might need help with.
What has your role been specifically for COVID-19 in response to COVID-19 here in the county?
So we've been helping anybody that would be in need in food, whether you lost your job or your hours got cut back, or even if you're still working and just need that little bit of help. We've been providing emergency food at our food bank, as well as our 17 food pantries that we have throughout the county. So anybody that would be in need in food could reach us, and we could give them food that way.
So besides the food and the assistance in the county, can you tell me what you're doing for as far as housing or healthcare as far as COVID? I know that our last guest had mentioned that, because of the layoffs, so many millions of people have been laid off, actually right here in Pennsylvania. What are you seeing as far as people in need of healthcare, specifically because, health benefits have been lost because of layoffs or they've been cut back for whatever reason?
Specifically, we don't really deal with healthcare. Um, but as far as like layoffs, if people would need help with like energy assistance, whether it's paying their utility bills or help with heating, we can assist with that at our main office.
Oh, wonderful. And so where can they get the information as far as those programs as well as the food assistance?
If they would need help other than food assistance, they can contact our main office. And that phone number is 724-465-2657. And they can visit our website or our Facebook page and get all of that information. And it can direct them to wherever they need to go, whether it's the food bank or the homeless shelter or our main office to help them with whatever they might need.
Are you seeing an increase for the need during right now in COVID-19? I know that I'm a board member at the Chevy Chase Community Center, and I know that the numbers have just been flying up. And we thought for a while we'd see the numbers, taper off, and in fact they've gone up. They haven't decreased. Are you seeing the same thing there at ICCAP as well?
Absolutely. For instance, our Power Pack program, which is a program where we send food home with the elementary school kids over the weekend. We've partnered with all the school districts, so we're actually handing out the Power Pack food at their lunch distributions, and we're giving out 1,500 bags every week. And that number jumped from 700 every week. So that number's really increased. Our emergency food that we give out at our ICCAP warehouse, that's increased detrimentally. Like we do at least 75 boxes on average every week. And along the board, like it's increased everywhere. Our food pantries have increased, our senior programs have increased. So there's definitely a need that we're seeing out in the community.
I know we're seeing a lot of people because of this pandemic need things or be in need that they weren't before. So what's the demographic of the people that you're serving? Are you seeing people like across the board, new clients, people you haven't seen before? What, if you don't have specifics, what is your guess about that?
75% of the people that we're seeing have never reached out for food assistance before. We have a lot more seniors reaching out for food and a lot more families that were employed and never needed food that are now in need of food and are reaching out for help.
Oh, wow.
And I think that's another issue. Like a lot of people are very prideful, and since they've never needed help, they're very afraid to reach out. And so that's something we wish everybody would just, reach out if they need help. Don't be afraid. That's what we're here for.
So being that your numbers have increased, is ICCAP getting the kind of resources and funding that it needs from state and local leaders?
Yep, from the federal government, we've seen an increase in funding. And on the state level as well, they've released funds to be able to purchase more food. And on a federal level, they're trying to reach out to more local farmers to make these food boxes. We don't have a lot of information on it yet, but they're trying to get more local food produced, and there'll be produce boxes, milk boxes, meat boxes that will be available statewide and across the board, really.
On that topic, we're hearing that there is a food supply chain that's being disrupted, especially from large meat processors that are being shut down. They're facing shortages in food in Indiana. Are you hearing anything about that right now with the food supply chain? I know when I go to the supermarket, I take my daily trip, there's certain things that are gone, but I feel like a lot of protein sources like Jiffy peanut butter is gone, and you go into the meat section and a lot of the meat section, they don't have anything, or there's signs that say one per customer or out, we'll due to the COVID virus right now. Are you hearing anything about that food supply chain being affected?
I have. Fortunately, we haven't really been affected by that. We have a lot of our meat sourced locally. A lot of it comes from Cunningham Meats. So before all this happened, they were kind of storing some stuff for us. So they've been keeping our freezers really stockpiled. So we've been really fortunate that way, that it hasn't affected our meat supply.
I'm hearing that the dairy farmers initiated a partnership with ICCAP, Chevy Chase. Can you tell us a little bit about that program that's going on?
The Farm Bureau actually reached out to us because there was so many farmers that have been dumping their milk, forced to, or whatever their issues might be. So we've partnered with them and Gallagher's Dairy to purchase half gallons of milk at a very low cost to be able to provide to our pantries for emergency food and sharing with Chevy Chase as well.
Does ICCAP get? I know you were saying that there's supposed to be produce boxes in the future. Does ICCAP get some of its produce and meat from local farmers and growers? Because I know you're talking about the meat comes here from Cunningham's. What about your produce right now?
Right now we're not sourcing a lot locally. Of course, it's not really a good season locally for growing.
Right.
But we've been very fortunate with produce as well. We pick up at the Walmart distribution center in Bedford, and whenever all this started, we were thinking that we really wouldn't be picking up from them because whenever you go to the grocery store, everything's pretty empty. But the one thing that we have been getting from them is produce, because when people have been going to the stores, they've been getting non-perishable things and things that'll last in their cupboard, as opposed to produce and things that'll perish very quickly. So because we've had a big increase in our donations from them, we've been having really large produce distributions on the weekends to help get rid of that and to serve the community with some fresh produce that they might not have had access to before.
So is this program separate than the, I heard about a drive up that you can get a box and you open up your door basically and you get the food and then you go. Is this a separate program from that?
Nope, that's the program that we've been doing.
Okay.
We've had the produce distributions at our food bank so far. On Thursday, we're having one at the Penns Manor High School to try to reach some of the more outlying areas. People that don't have great transportation, that maybe aren't able to make it into the food bank, have more access to it this way. So we plan to reach out. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We have a delay. It's good.
We plan to have more of these distributions in the outlying areas in the future, just so that we can reach more people.
Are you finding that you have to be a little bit more creative now because of COVID and the social distancing policies? Trying to get food out to where people can't come in, or you can't have big distributions and large crowds and things like that. Are you finding that you have to be a little bit more creative now?
Definitely. Even as far as our pantries go, we have 17 throughout the county. So a lot of them are at churches or at fire halls, and some of the churches that have maybe closed down, or the Indiana Mall, for example, we have a pantry there. So since we don't have access to these buildings, we've been doing them outside, and we've been doing a drive-through service where people pull up, get their name checked off the list because they're signed up for their pantry there, and a box of food is placed in their car. So it's been a lot different than usual, and we've had to get very creative on how we do things. So
On those lines a little bit, talking about the PPE for your staff and your workers, and soon, like everyone right now has to go out into the community, and to get into the stores, you need protective gear and a PPE. How is ICCAP going about doing that? I know Chevy Chase, everyone has their protective gear on. And there's no, people aren't allowed into the center. You have to come outside. How is ICCAP dealing with that right now?
So everybody wears masks, volunteers, staff at the food bank. When people come in for food, we have them wait outside, and they either call us from outside or honk their horn and let us know that they're there. And we bring the box of food out to them wearing masks and gloves. That way, we're social distancing and protecting both parties.
Okay, wonderful. I want to talk about maybe the transition. We're hearing a little bit about reopening, and we know, as our former guest told us, it's not going to be like a light switch effect, that it's going to be kind of slow and rolling and over a period of time. Can you tell us any concerns that you have, or that ICCAP has, as far as the transition into the reopening?
I don't think we have any real concerns, just because our food supply hasn't diminished. It's pretty much stayed the same. Our donations from the community have been wonderful, so they've helped carry us through as well. So we'll be here as long as they need us to.
Wonderful. On that end, how can people help you with this if they need to help you? There's a PayPal account.
They can go on our website and donate through PayPal. They can send a check made out to ICCAP, and they can mail that to our main office. Or if you want to go to the grocery store and pick up some non-perishable food items, they can be dropped off at our food bank. Wonderful. And right now, I think through maybe the first part of May, First Commonwealth Bank is actually matching donations up to $75,000. So if you get on First Commonwealth's website, you can pledge your dollar amount, and they'll match it.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's always good to hear, community partnership with, some of the for-profit and nonprofit businesses linking up. It always makes for a great partnership. We appreciate all your time today, and we thank you, and especially all of your volunteers and everyone that's working with you to make sure that the basic needs of people are being met right now. We'd love to hear you again talk a little bit about ICCAP as the pandemic moves on, hopefully as it slows down and kind of levels off. And we will be sending our thoughts and prayers with everyone working for you at ICCAP. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. Thanks, guys.
Hi, and welcome back. This is episode 15 of the Setter Webcast COVID-19 edition. We have a data moment here. There are new plans from the governor's office to start reopening. And while the timeline for particular regions are unknown, we're in the Southwest region. One of the metrics they've been talking about is the number of new cases per 10,000 people. And so Brandon had a piece of data that was going to share here. Dr. Vic,
Yep.
are you there?
Yeah, it's up. Yeah.
Great. Go ahead.
Okay. So this is a little bit of data from the PA Department of Health, and it shows, I didn't bring it up, but PA is by the governor's plan to reopen puts each county in a region. And we are right here, and we're in the Southwest region, which puts us with a number of counties in the Southwest. So here, and there's been concern that, okay, Indiana is in the same county as Allegheny and Pittsburgh, which, the fear that people say is, well, there's a lot of cases in Pittsburgh, but not many here. So this data is kind of nice because it reports basically some of the metrics that the governor's reopening plan is going to be following, which is for the past 2 weeks, will a region be under 50 new cases per 100,000? Okay, so that's the metric that's one of the metrics that the reopening plan is going to go by. You can see that Indiana is right now at 23.8 cases per 100,000 over the past 14 days. So right now, if it were just our county, we're meeting that metric. If you go over to Allegheny, they're only at 28 new cases. So despite their larger population, their case count per 100,000 is quite low as well. What I would like to look into a bit more for our region, the county that's quite high is Beaver, and I'm not sure why that's such an outlier, but that is at 130 cases per 100,000. So this is one set of metrics to look at that goes along with these reopening plan.
Can you pull that back up for a quick second?
Sure.
I appreciate the numbers here in particular, being a math teacher and thinking about the ratios. We think about Allegheny County having a lot more cases than Indiana County. But when you think about it per 100,000 people, we're a little under 100,000 people. I'm sure Allegheny County is a couple 100,000 people. We are actually right about the same. And what it looks like there, Brandon, and tell me if I'm wrong, that Southwest region, if you hover over it, it seems like most of those counties are, aside from Beaver County, most of those counties are under that 50 threshold. Most of our Southwest counties are under that 50 threshold. That's South Central.
All of them are. All of them except for Beaver County are. Yeah.
Except for Beaver County. And Beaver County may be pulling us a little bit higher. So these are numbers to keep looking at. Do we have a timeline from when they start measuring those 2 weeks? When the governor's office is going to start measuring those 2 weeks?
No, that's a good question. From what I've read, I did not see when the timeline started. So if it's the date, the May 8th date that they've been talking about, I'm not sure if it's starting from then. So there's quite a few details. Also, cases per 100,000 is not the only thing. Another requirement based on the plan, again, details to come, is related to testing capacity, because there's several reasons why you might not have many cases. One is if you're not, if you're not seeing extreme cases, then the official case count would be low. And if you're not testing enough, then the case count could be low as well. So it's more of a balance. It's not a set metric from my understanding at this point. They're taking in lots of sources of data. And since this is new, it's novel, right? The experts are learning as they go along.
So it's, I guess in other words, it's easy enough to have less than 50 cases per 100,000 if you're not testing anybody.
Right.
So we'll keep looking at that data. I think that's going to be important coming up. In fact, we have a number of invites out to the governor's office for folks to come in, including the Department of Health. Have not heard back from them. So if anybody's listening out there from the governor's office, it would be lovely to hear from you. What do we have coming up, Sybil? Who's coming up this Thursday and next week?
Well, Thursday we have Senator Joe Pittman. He is our local senator here to the Senate and the General Assembly here in Pennsylvania. We have Dr. Abigail Adams as well as the Attorney General. And I am very, very happy that we have a special show coming up May 7th. It's an interfaith interview with leaders from different faiths. Just talking about the humanity that we're seeing in the COVID-19 pandemic and the response to it.
Fantastic. It's exciting. I've heard a lot lately around here about this frustration about which businesses can be open and which businesses cannot be open. And in particular, how are businesses that are open operating, and are they operating according to CDC guidelines in particular? So I've got questions from the community for Senator Pittman about in particular Lowe's in town here, which is open because it is an essential service. And as somebody whose dishwasher blew up, I understand that it's an essential service and needed plumbing. However, the social distancing that's being observed at some local big box businesses is not complete. And what I've been hearing a lot from other small businesses here in town is that, hey, look, I'm a small business. I got 2 people. I can do a better job of social distancing that's happening out there for those organizations. So my questions are, what is the accountability for these businesses that are open to maintain the social distancing, and what does that look like for single proprietorships? So I think that's going to be very interesting coming up.
Yes, I have some questions of my own. I know dog grooming is one of them. They said dog grooming was supposed to open, and they're yet to open. I have a dog with an ingrown toenail that needs to be fixed, and I can't do it because I'm afraid I'm going to hurt the dog. So I know that's important to me. Everyone has these small little things on their list, and I think more importantly, I think I'm hearing from business leaders who are or business owners that are upset that it seems as though the bigger businesses and corporate and chain stores are getting a lot of attention as far as the bills and the monies coming out of DC and the United States Senate, as well as the fairness of who can, like you were saying, like with 2 people being able to social distance at a better than some of the bigger stores. However, on top of that, they believe that they're competing, that they're offering the same services. However, the bigger chains are allowed to stay open and they're closed, and they offer the same services. I know that we have a person from an owner, of a gym locally, and there's some issues I think coming up. As longer that they stay closed, the more issues that they're having. The money. The PPP website blew up yesterday. So the money that was sent out, that in the second package for small businesses just recently passed. It was put out, I guess, yesterday on the website. And they said within, I think, 30 minutes of the website being up, there was 1.2 million small businesses in line, and the website blew up and they can't get to it. So there's issues. So I'm curious. We'll ask some of our politicians and some of the people that are in the know, what's going on. So.
Well, we heard from Dave Reed from First Commonwealth that a lot of businesses here in Indiana County did get to benefit from that first round. I think it'd be interesting for us here to hear from some businesses who did and some businesses who didn't.
Right.
I think, because here in Indiana we have so many banks here, maybe we have a higher likelihood of folks to have a good banking relationship, which sounds like was the key for a lot of folks to get that PPP money, to already have a banking relationship. We have a lot of banks in town, so maybe we haven't been as impacted as we've seen in other places. But I think it'd be interesting to hear about it. So folks who are listening out there and you're a small business and you applied for the PPP, let us know how it went, whether you got it or you didn't. And I think that's it. Is that it for us today?
That's it.
Fantastic. Well, thanks a lot. We'll be back again on Thursday at 6 p.m. Once again, we'll have Senator Joe Pittman and Dr. Abigail Adams, who is the head of the public health program over at IUP and a virologist, and will tell us all about the dangers to make sure we do not open too early. Thanks a lot.